I'm joined by former Union Minister and senior Congress MP Renuka Chowdhury. Thank you, madam, for making time for News9.
Thank you.
Let me begin by asking you, what is your understanding of this Gen Z, 18 to 24 years old, protesting in Jantar Mantar?
Quite frankly, I don't understand all these labels of millennials and Gen Zs and all. I see them as children, as students, as citizens of this country, and a very informed, intelligent force for India. So, I think it's fabulous. I, for one, am supremely proud because in the past 12 years, I have been bitterly disappointed by the average person we see on the road. Everyone wants their comfort zone. Nobody finds anything. Educated people believe this dialogue bazi of this Prime Minister and all those funny slogans which his speechwriter has written. And these children have picked up and resonated what everybody feels but are cowards and don't come forward and do. They did it. They did it. I am so impressed and so proud of these children that it's my business to protect them.
Is it also a reflection of the fact that since a lot of children, and you use the word children, that the leadership age in traditional political parties is way up, and the people you see on the street in terms of age, they're way down?
Not really. There's a transitioning happening if you look at it globally. World over, there's taking a cognizance of the wisdom of the youth. That this kind of transition has happened generationally over centuries. But what has happened today because of information technology being connected to the world, it has sort of telescoped a bit and enhanced the visibility so much that you have to take cognizance. Greta Thunberg, 13-year-old, who challenged the global leaders on environmental issues and changes. It started then, the visibility and the no choice but acceptability of young thought and the evolution of young thinking and how relevant it is to today's time. And they have discarded the jaded mentality that we tend to develop as we grow older. Experience, what we think is experience, cautions us. We become fearful, we become overcautious, and we become resentful of ceding space. Now that has changed. Then you had that Malala young lady who stood up. I have gazillion sarpanches who've been raped and went on to win a sarpanch election. And I think, I'm awestruck by these people. I'm thunderstruck and awestruck by this young lot to say they did it. I did it when I was in college. I was the rebel star. I was not the nice, acceptable, good, Sushil, Saral girl that I was supposed to be. I rode motorcycles. I thought it was a skill. And so I was the rebel star. I was the square peg in the round hole. But these children have that many more advantages.
What is the difference the time you yourself are a product of big protests? You have been associated with protest movements. So what is the difference of the protests you participated in 80s, early 90s, and the protests these now the so-called digitally empowered civic actors are doing in Jantar Mantar?
A lot more awareness, connectivity, the ability to interact non-physically and know the way forward. And their rights, which communication has brought, having a cell phone has connected you to the world. So they are taking informed decisions. I took emotional decisions. Mine was gut instinct where I said, this is wrong. I'm not going to accept this. That was my thought process and approach. But these kids are doing it informed, aware, know their rights, and they have the courage.
But there is also a difference. When you were in politics, you said, I'm in politics, I'm a political actor, I'm taking political decisions, and I'm making political actions. When most of these children, students, when they come, they say, well, we are apolitical, but most of their demands are highly political.
Look, politics is like COVID in today's time. It's infiltrated, permeated into every aspect of our life. Why do citizens have to come to us for a kindergarten, admission into some school. Why? We have vitiated the whole atmosphere. We have contaminated all the institutions, and we have politicized everything. So if the children are asking for something, what are they asking that is appearing political to you all? I don't see anything that they're asking is beyond their rights.
For example, demand of Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation is a political demand.
Hardly. It's a civil demand because it has cost these children their lives. It is the parents who have borrowed, begged, stolen to educate the children. It's children who've cut away from society for 2 years to focus on writing this blooming exam. And there is a simmering discontent which came up, and this was the catalyst. When it comes to that level that it's not one exam, time and again. Now, is that incompetence or is it deliberate by the government? There are two ways of looking at it. Incompetence, repeated incompetence. Why are they even sitting in those chairs, taking decisions that impacts entire generations of children? If it is deliberate, then it's malicious. It could be deliberate that they don't want children to pass and get through the NEET exam because then they come into the employment category. And the government does not give employment. We have huge percentages of educated, unemployed people sitting vela at home. And parents like us are still paying bills for them. So that comes, and this lot are aware. And what have they asked? They said if the man is incompetent and he cannot do this, the least he can do is resign, because that's the only instrument they have to say, let him get out of the chair. Because it's impacting our lives. Our colleagues have died. Our friends have killed themselves. Their parents are in debt. A father killed himself because he just couldn't afford it anymore. How do you live with that guilt? I don't think that's political at all. It's civil disobedience.
But you would agree that even if I say that it's an apolitical thing, most of these youth protests have been highly destabilizing for traditional political parties. If I may remind you of most of the experience which South Asia has underwent, whether it's Nepal, whether it's Bangladesh, whether it's Sri Lanka, traditional political structures have completely collapsed. Older faces had to leave. They had to vacate the place, and they ended up creating an administrative plus a political vacuum.
It's okay. Democracies don't tolerate a vacuum. It is my firm belief that if these kind of changes happen, there's a transition that is happening. And temporarily you may see it as a collapse of systems, but it's also the birth and evolution of a time of coming of age, of new types, new systems, new governance. You do need to demolish the staged, third-rate approach, which is now obsolete in today's times. We've got to change with the times. Either you change or get out of the kitchen.
As a traditional politician, how are you embracing this change, keeping in mind that it may also make you irrelevant in long run?
Of course. Why is it? Do I have one lifetime warranty that I must be in active politics for the rest of my life? I'm very fortunate I'm here. I took a gap year in between. I didn't come back to Parliament for 5 years because I just didn't have the money to fight an election which is humongously expensive in Telangana, in the whole of South for that matter. It is hideously expensive. And I just couldn't. All my little savings of mutual funds and all I had to dissolve to get that little money in position to fight an election. And today the citizen who's living in apartments and has a car parked in the garage is saying, but I didn't get my amount. So what have we done then? We have dismantled the idealism of what was the basic structure, the matrix of our constitution, which gave us ideology. We had an ideological hook, which we believe, I stupidly believed in it. So I lived by that tenet that I have to do this. This is my collective responsibility. Also, I think belonging to the armed services orients you that everybody in the country is your responsibility. You have to do it.
But don't you believe that sometimes protests like these can get hijacked? For example, when the protest took place in UP, when UP was in power, India Against Corruption, a lot of people said, well, these are civil society actors, these are tech guys, retired bureaucrats. And ultimately, one of them said, he would like to fight elections. And then he became a political player.
Right.
And then he displayed his political ideology. And then he shifted gears. So how can you be so sure of CJP? I mean to say, anyone can hijack it.
Look,
they can be people who
it has
say...
been hijacked by several players in this platform. It has been hijacked to a large extent. It has morphed into something else. And it has developed a life of its own. The youngsters, I had gazillion phone calls from across the states, from Kerala, from Maharashtra, from Mumbai, everyone who said, we want to come in. Auntie, can you help us? How do we go? Where do we assemble? There are people who've never been to Delhi before. These children are spending their own money. They're coming by train. They're coming by whatever means. But they want to belong. They need to belong. And I think that is the pulse that we need to resonate. If we are old and seasoned and blah, blah, whatever we are as the traditional politicians, that was our time. What we did was relevant then. I was the rebel star. I came in. It was unheard of. One motorcycle riding woman wearing knuckle dusters and fighting my way in is certainly not the traditional acceptable perception of what I'm supposed to be. But that's okay. It paid its own dividends. It made way for others. Women like me, good, bad and ugly, what did we do? We came into parliament and fought for a woman's reservation. And now lots of young women. And even now we have the traditional resistance. Those young, beautiful girls from Bengal who came into parliament were trolled by relatively young people for wearing trousers to parliament. Seriously? I mean, so we still have those battles and resistance. But it's an evolution.
But then after 2014, barring which I'll take up with you a little later, the Padyatra part, political protests and electoral outcomes, they have become two different things.
Yes.
If you recall, big farmers' protests, big expectation that it will have a bearing in Haryana, it will have a bearing in Western Uttar Pradesh. It did not have a bearing in Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh. So there is a protest that is happening. I don't want to get into this larger narrative of mobocracy versus democracy, two sides of the story, police being hit or the CJP Karyakartas getting hit. But the fact of the matter is that electoral outcomes are not being affected by the protest post 2014. Why?
Because there is no autonomy in your electoral outcomes. This is premeditated, deliberate dismantling of the autonomy which TN Seshan to some extent had contributed and put into place. Who is this election commission? Even the selection process of getting an election commissioner in has been muddied. The CJ has been removed. He's nobody. Bureaucrats have been brought in. How amazing. And then they systematically dismantled it, saying that you cannot go to court, you cannot see videos, you cannot review the cameras. They've done it systematically. Where we failed as a political class, I believe, in the opposition is that we didn't bodily throw ourselves at every level when they were dismantling these institutions. Yes, we did articulate, we said blah, 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 but we didn't actually get down and say, no, we will not allow this to happen. Today, what is the election commission but a tragic rubber stamp of this totally, morally devoid government?
Is this the reason why your leader, Mr. Gandhi, has been using this word resistance again and again, articulated by people with whom he closely works, that we have to work around resistance because they believe that, India has become electoral autocracy?
It has.
It's contested. I'm not saying that. It's a premise.
Yeah, it is. It has. And let's face it, Rahul Gandhi, wittingly, unwittingly, by osmosis, has seen and absorbed this from birth. He has seen the ideology, the devolution of concept, whatever. These people can get up and talk what they want about Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. After all, they come with forged documents to Parliament claiming intelligence. Certificates don't make you intelligent. Certificates don't give you growth and mental evolution into better people. They don't. So by osmosis, Rahul Gandhi has understood what militant non-violence means. These protests today on the streets by the youngsters is militant non-violence. And no matter whether it reflects in electoral reforms or not, it does not diminish the power of the people. Every time I see something like this, I get electrified. I'm witness to history. I'm actually seeing by the people, for the people, of the people. That's what it is.
How would you define the conduct of the administration on the day the protest took place in front of the parliament? Because the police also has their story that the mob got pretty violent.
Listen, I have absolute sympathy for the policemen who are injured. They got injured in their line of duty. It shouldn't have happened. But what happened outside Parliament, as far as I am concerned, this is my individual opinion, is obnoxious and it is unacceptable. We were in Parliament. When I came out, the House adjourned. The House kept conveniently adjourning every half an hour, deliberately to keep us hostage in Parliament, number one. Number two, how dare they? They jammed our WhatsApps so that we could not have any communication to the outside world. I take that as deeply insulting and as a personal assault on my right to information and everything, and my right to privacy. They have actually disconnected our WhatsApps and they closed the doors of Parliament. I had to fight and yell at the watch and ward staff. Poor things, they were doing their duty. But by the time I was riled up, and then when I stepped out, I was horrified to hear tear gas shelling going on outside. You know, unfortunately, fortunately, when Pakistan attacked our parliament the last time, I was the only member of parliament in the compound where I stood and I heard the firing. And I thought, why are there crackers in daytime around parliament? The first, you know.
I know.
And I was the only woman out there where I was walking up and down. I had actually supervised removal of cars which were standing in a line saying that if one petrol tank explodes, the series will take off. And I said, put them into neutral and push them out of the way. I stood there and supervised buses to be brought in and members of parliament to be evacuated. The T-board children, the youngsters, the waiters came saying, our boss is not letting us go home. I said, don't worry. Till you people reach home, I'm not moving from here. And I stood there till evening doing all this. So for me to see that we survived that, and my wonderful watch and ward staff who were unarmed, they bodily threw themselves, and the vice president was saved from being shot. They died in the line of duty. So I don't think the policemen should really, I mean, they have been injured. It shouldn't have happened, but it has, and I wish them a speedy recovery. But please tell me, this government keeps putting out this word saying, policemen were injured, policemen were injured. How many children were injured? Were they armed? Your policemen were armed. They were practiced and taught assault. They must have had a review. If they didn't, then I'll question the Home Minister next. They have to have exit routes as per procedure. How to diffuse the crowds into those exit routes. It's an intelligence failure of two kinds. Intelligence on the ground where they didn't get enough information, and intelligence failure of the mind where they have no clue and they behave like Gabbar Singhs and they think everyone's going to quake in their shoes. These children came up to Parliament. They have a right. Parliament is in session. We are supposed to raise what is public servant or what is public representative. What does it mean? We don't come to Parliament to say, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. It doesn't work like that. We've forgotten what we stand for. We have to be there to resonate their voices.
Do you think that the government is trying to avoid a debate on NEET?
Of course. It's an utter failure. If they had any conscience and if there was any Modi ka guarantees which they push down our throat and ears, they should have tabled this as the first subject in the agenda. Why wasn't it there? We had all given notices. I have given notices.
But the government has accused the Congress that Mr. Gandhi, at the time when he was doing dharna in front of the residence of the Prime Minister, changed the goalpost. First, he agreed to it, and then he said, no, the minister must resign. Therefore, if you can shed light on it.
That's one thing I have to concede. The ability of this government to divert, dilute, and change direction is amazing. They do this all the time. Every time a national issue comes up and the opposition raises it and Rahul Gandhi stands up and articulates it, they quickly change it to birth pangs of Pandit Nehru and Christian forefathers of Rahul Gandhi. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's grandson has to be a Pandit, na? But suddenly they become matriarchal and they become very evolved in that. They are so beyond dumb. I'm sorry. And they think that, it's true, these gimmicks carried on for a while. But now the time has come. People have smelt the absolute tomfoolery and fakery that they do.
If you're so convinced that, this entire thing which you have said is dumb, why hasn't Congress been able to do well in states like, say, Odisha, which was for taking, and BJP swept to power? Or, for example, not being able to recover in Andhra Pradesh the way Congress did in Telangana, or to suddenly lose Chhattisgarh where you were well poised.
No, that is the
Or not being able to come back to Gujarat in power for 40 years now almost.
Yeah. Then not only Gujarat, UP, we haven't come to power. In many states, we haven't come back for
Uttar Pradesh, Bihar goes with it.
Yeah, that's okay. You must understand and remove from each. Electoral politics and the mathematics of elections is completely different from the ideological hook that you work with. Whether we win or lose, our compulsion is to continue serving the nation. If we are not there in the chair to do it, then it is our business to ensure that those in the chair will jolly well deliver to the people of this country. And for Congress, we have been there forever. We've been there on the ground and done it. Yes, we have taken many things for granted. We didn't make the transition into the new generational thinking on time. We didn't do it on time. We didn't withstand the onslaught of this propaganda. They have the money and the machine to do it. And the fakery and the false attitudes and taking budgetary allocations for social welfare, women's development. Where's all that money? To show one face, to enhance one man's image and pump it up till that balloon is burst now. So this are the absolutely fake, the stories that they tell. And people were enamored. Initially, they were taken up. It's like the pre-release of a movie. And once the box office opens, it fails.
Congress can counter it. So you also control social media handles. You have your followers.
We don't have that kind of revenue or money. Let's be realistic. But we are doing it by the will of the people. And we will. We are making inroads. When Rahul Gandhi started walking, what did they do to him before that? What was his image that they had constructed?
Bharat Jodo Yatra?
Yeah. Before that, what did they call him? All sorts of things. I might sound like a Congress tablespoon now, not just an ordinary chammach when I say it about Rahul.
But there's a postscript to it. You see, when YSR did his Padyatra, he consolidated the Padyatra into a firm political game. Not only Congress came once, it came again also. It was unfortunate the gentleman passed away in an accident. But when Bharat Jodo Yatra happened, Congress party was able to resurrect itself as an opposition party, not a party in power. The country got in opposition and you had the government with 240 plus. But then the Congress lost momentum, you lost Haryana, you lost Maharashtra. It was unlike what YSR did. When you consolidated for next 10 years till that decision of bifurcation of the state took place the way it was done. Until today, your vote share is in single digit in Andhra Pradesh. But in this case, you had the numbers, but you started losing states like Haryana, where you polled, I think, more than 47% of the vote in Lok Sabha, or 46% of the vote.
Yeah, we did. But I want to tell you one thing. Let's separate the two issues. One, Rajshekar Reddy in Unified Andhra he fought in a state. We were Congress, but that state, and there were state issues that we dealt with. And his 102, 108 ambulance gave us a big heft. It worked brilliantly, and it was easier to do it there because we had a contained area, geography in which we had to work. Bharat Jodo Yatra was pan-India. And the humongous wave of people that came forward associated and recollected what the Congress stood for was amazing. It put these chaps on the back foot. And Rahul did what he did. Now, my contention always is what I tell my fellow congressmen. We have a brand, much like all the predominant brands in a commercial world, where you're in commerce, you see brands re-established, keeping their market share, holding on to that. It is the brand manager's business to ensure that our market share remains or enhances, utilizing our
middle
brand
management.
Whatever. I'm not accusing or pointing fingers. They're doing the best of what they could. They're the same guys who've constructed Bharat Jodo Yatra. But I'm saying it as a citizen, as an individual, and as a congressperson, that to market our brand effectively, we needed a bigger think tank where the inputs, and we had to do it pan-Asian. These are one issue. The other issue is electoral politics. When you come to the mathematics of electoral politics, SIR, EVMs, suspicion, there's no control. Also, the history of this wonderful government of ours. Remember Madhya Pradesh, remember Goa, remember how they split. Look what they've done with TMC. And now they don't even pretend. Wow. That is the only honest thing they're doing now. Breaking parties, going in, and they have had their middlemen from other political parties who've joined them. Questionable history. West Bengal is a classic example where the Prime Minister is saying, "Camera pe, dekh lijiye." He said all this, that the man took a bribe on camera. Suddenly he's qualified to be Chief Minister. Those are the qualifications that BJP goes by. They lift governors, they move them out overnight. Decent governors who said, look, this is not our bandwidth to sit and topple a sitting government. Dhankarji was bought because he did a brilliant job in West Bengal, where for the first time we saw governors sitting and addressing press meetings against the government they're serving. Wow! These were new directions which we as Congress couldn't understand. We couldn't take that fast enough. And then on the ground level, there is no reality. SIR, you cancel 60 lakh votes overnight. And then you're asking me about mathematics of electoral politics. They're two different issues.
Okay. And last question, very quickly. Do you think the Congress can make a comeback in Andhra? Ever?
Yes. We have been lax in Andhra. This is my personal opinion because I live on the ground there. And we were a unified state till recently. So we have not taken advantage of the vacuum that was there. And today there is a huge vacuum. Chandrababu Naidu and co can say what they want. But when he aligned with the BJP, his graph fell within 6 months. And today he's floundering because the BJP doesn't need him suddenly. Because they've broken TMC. You see how conniving, how clever. Nobody can outpace them in these sort of criminal activities. So they don't need Chandrababu now because they've got TMC. They're breaking Shiv Sena. They're doing Jigri Pokri in other areas. They're doing this. They're out in your face saying that hum karenge. And this is to be celebrated. We have to be awestruck.
But
I am.
What has Congress done to break ground in Andhra?
Well, not enough. I'm saying this at the risk of being damned by my people. But I am saying what my Congress worker in the state is saying. I am saying what the farmers have said.
What needs to be done in Andhra Pradesh for
Get
Congress
down.
to revive?
You have to get down and dirty. You need strong local leadership there to be give them the confidence that we are there for you. We need to put Chandrababu Naidu in his place, and Mr. Jagan Reddy, who has the single distinction of ruining the party and the entire state, Vijayawada, which was the financial headquarters. He has, deliberately destroyed. Sometimes I'm telling you, there has to be a mental fitness certificate for people who sit in governance.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Renuka ji, for joining me in this special edition of On Point.